Aquarius, I hope you're well. This is going to be your reading for July 2024. So just before I start, to let you know if you wanted to get a personal reading or do a session by Skype, you can find out how to do that on my website, and the link is in the description box below. So just as I got the cards for you and started to shuffle, I had the Five of Pentacles jumping out, which is about separation from something. Also, I've got the Ten of Wands right there showing, so it's like the ending of separation. So I'm just going to shuffle these a little bit more because I hadn't finished, and we'll see. Oh, okay, so they're showing me the moon. It's like the moon, it's like a sunrise behind the moon, an eclipse of the moon, basically. So something is coming out of the dark for you this month. So something is going to reveal itself in terms of your separation and an energetic ending to that. So you might notice that something is shifting. They're showing me like a searchlight, like where it starts at a small point, a beam of light, and then widens, like you get on the top of a lighthouse. So the light is getting wider somehow. So more is being, you can see more, you understand more in terms of your twin flame process and your and what you've been through, basically, because it's like about an ending to something that was a dark situation, the separation, and the light coming in on it, and you seeing more and understanding more. And they're showing me a vulture sitting there, so it's about the death of something and picking the bones over, and you know, something gone, basically. Something that was a worry, something that was a stress, like feeling inside of yourself, a negative feeling inside of yourself that's going, a negative, maybe negative understanding that's going about this whole process. You're going to see clearly where you've been, where you're coming from, and where you're going energetically, and from there physically, and you're going to feel better emotionally, they're saying, and mentally. You're going to feel a lot calmer. You're going to feel a lot more. There's this feeling of understanding that's like a feeling of acceptance and release, like a let go. You could say let's wait and see feeling, a feeling of being happy with where you're at and knowing what you know, and a feeling of relief, like, oh, I see now, oh, I understand now why I've gone through this, and now I can feel good because now I understand what it's been about a little bit more. You probably had understanding, but now you're going to get a little bit more. So we've got that coming up. They just said light through the door, so it's like something opening up and you understanding more. Six of Wands, it's vibrational accuracy that's coming with that. So of course, when you understand more, when you let go, when you relinquish and you feel relief, you're starting to feel better. You're starting to feel more accepting of where you're at in your life, and you're starting to feel less pressure and less resistance and less angst and less stress. And when you start to feel better and your vibration is matching up to that feeling better, it means you are going to bring yourself everything that you desire. Slowly, 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 what comes along from the feeling better is going to match up to the feeling better. Chariot, they're saying big things coming along, right? So it is a huge shift, I feel, for you this month, where that light widens up. That's a big shift, right, into the light. They just said the top being taken off something, like you're coming up through a drain in the street, the drain, the manholes over the drains. So like you're coming up there. So really, there's been a lot of, you've been really down and depressed, or you've been, feeling like woe is me, and you're feeling like you've been at your lowest point and you can't go on anymore. You can't find the light, and you can't get out of this inside yourself. It doesn't feel like get out of a physical situation, although it might be manifesting all around you. It's more like the physical has to shift, because you can't go on anymore with what's going on inside of yourself, like how bad it feels, that something has to shift. And they're saying there's a big change coming in that, the full brand new journey. So again, you're going to get up on your feet this month, they're saying, and you're going to feel a lot lighter and a lot easier and a lot able to carry on and a lot able to get your job done, which is your job of being alive and just being happy about being here and partaking of it and engaging with it and loving life. Page of Swords, which is information and messages as well. Ten of Swords, an ending in the brain. So it's an ending of a lot of fear and a lot of worry and a lot of stress. And the finality, they're saying. So the finality is not that you just accept where you're at and you're like, oh, I'm happy with this. It's not that they're saying. They're saying suddenly the lid is going to get lifted, and what's going to end inside of you is the prison of your own brain. It's like you have been held in a position inside your own brain where you've not been able to be fulfilling your own requirement for happiness in your thoughts. But this is your twin flame process, because your masculine counterpart is inside their brain, not being able to be happy in their own thoughts. So you've literally been there, down in this drain, because they are there. So this is a work in progress, right? And they're saying this is a self-fulfilling prophecy, in that the manhole is lifted and the light floods in and you come out of the underworld. So you're coming out of it this month, but you've been there for a reason. It hasn't been because that's where like this egoic judgment on a person and like, oh well, that's where they deserve to be. Well, you deserve to be miserable because you're a miserable person, which are like people say, oh, they're horrible, they're always miserable, this kind of thing. It's like you have been there for a specific reason, not because you are a miserable person, but because you've had to be there, because your masculine's there. So you've had to go down there to like counteract it somehow in the brain, right? This is the ego and the messages, talking to yourself as well in your head. So maybe you've been in there and you've just been like churning it all around, why you don't like this, why you don't like that, why you don't want to be doing this, why you don't want to be there, but you're only doing it because the masculine's doing it, and you've had to be there with them doing it because you are one with them, right? Five of Cups and the love that is there, right, in that service of love. So that's what they mean by self-fulfilling prophecy, because the prophecy is that love comes once everything's cleared, right? So it's not that you could say, well, I'm always unhappy, so I'm always going to get what unhappiness brings, because that's law of attraction. But you're in twin flame process, so no, you're not, because you're doing a work of love by going into that unhappiness. So you are not going to get what unhappiness delivers. You're going to get what love delivers, right? So maybe this is what you're understanding, because maybe you're going to see around you in the physical dimension what comes from love coming into your life in small ways. And you're going to see, I'm never fully out of my point of attraction, am I? When I go into the dark and I do the work of my twin flame process, I'm not fully out of my point of attraction, because I'm still bringing from love. Because of course you will, because you're here to be a work of love in progress. The Fool ending in the mind, destiny, judgment, right? So you have got this prophecy to be delivered still on the work that you have been doing. It's destined and it's huge. It's big things coming along in terms of love. It's like if you look down a manhole in the street, right, and there's a ladder leading down to the sewer beneath, right, where it's all dark and dank and smelly and horrible, right? But you got to walk up every rung of this ladder before you get to the top. It's like the journey, the twin flame process is you get your foot on the bottom rung because somebody's opened there's a little bit of light coming in through the manhole cover, but you're right down at the bottom. There's only a little bit of light that you can see. You get your foot on the bottom rung and then somebody slams the lid back down again, the masculine, you're right back in that energy again of like this in the brain, this like turmoil and fear and worry and stress and well, there's loads more things. We won't go there. And then, you're like, you can't see the way out anymore. And then again, the lid gets lifted a little bit and you get more light and you're like, oh, you get your foot on the next rung of the ladder. But there's a lot of steps up to the street and they're rungs of a ladder, thin as swords. And the lid keeps going back on and you're back in the dark and sometimes you fall down again and you've got to start all over again. And that is twin flame process, right? But you're doing it as a work in progress. You're doing it as a work of love. It is an offering of love. So your judgment, your destiny, your final destiny is to come out into the light fully and bask in the light of love. So timing, Wheel of Fortune, says big things are coming this month, right? So first of all, it could just be the feeling good that comes and the ending of this in the brain and this like, angst. That's the perfect word for it because it's just, in the brain. It's like where everything is wrong and you have to like counter any optimism that tries to come up. You're counteracting it with negativity because it's the masculine coming up, right? But eventually you heal the masculine because the light overtakes the dark. So the optimism overtakes the negativity. So the light wins and you are the light, you are the feminine, you win. Right, in this duality, this work of duality. So, and then we've got go with the flow, Queen of Cups. So you've just got to go with the flow. You're just going to go with the flow. You understand it is flowing, right? And you will flow towards the eventual outcome. So now it's got like, we don't really have them in the UK, but you see them in the movies and they're in the States. There's one in Jurassic Park. And it's like a great big storm drain sticking out of a hill. It's like round. And when the river overflows, all the water flows out of this massive storm drain. So it's like you've just got to understand, however you're looking at this storm drain and you don't see anything. And it's like the storm drain's huge and I can't even see a trickle of it coming out. You've got to understand at some point, you just got to go with the flow, right? However small the flow is at the time you're going with it. So that means however much is going on in the brain that's like, you just got to understand it's a process. And at some point the floodgates open and the storm, and all the light comes through, right? All the water comes through and it's all healed. And again, that's still coming out underneath, ending energetically of like this turmoil in the brain that is the masculine in their denial and their negativity coming through you this month, right? And these really good cards down here of judgment and timing. So just, take those, love them, right? So that you can go with the flow, with the what is of anything that is not at the moment yet matching up to these, because these are in the future. And remember what you got, the heart of the matter is that one, which is the in the brain. All right. So I'm going to leave you with that. Lots of love and I'll see you in the next one.